This is an introduction to the website settings. So if you see there's submissions, there's issues, we'll forget announcements, and then under settings there's journal, which I've covered in a different video, and then there's website. And that's what we're going to look at a little bit today, probably in parts, because some bits need paying attention to and other bits do not. So you'll see at the top under website settings, and just a reminder, the journal settings are about journal content. They are about the name, the ISSN number, the different categories that we have within our journal, articles, editorials, poetry, and so on. The website is how the journal comes across to people, how it shows itself, where things can be found, a lot of navigation, but also different areas of content. So for example, we need to have organized where we put all the information on submissions, or where people find the archives, or how people find out where the editorial team is listed, that sort of thing, a real range of things. But it's also about the design. And we're just going to start with that. If you look at the top tabs here, we've got appearance, setup, plugins, and static pages. And this is not the kind of thing you have to remember all in one go, and that's why some of these videos are going to be helpful, and I'm going to do a separate video on plugins and possibly on something else. We'll see. But also under appearance, there are three things: theme, setup, and advanced. So I'm just showing you all this so you can see what's in place. Now, OJS comes with some inbuilt design choices, but for whatever reason, I can't remember now, I went for Bootstrap base theme rather than default theme or manuscript. And it was just because it suited the layout that we wanted a bit better, either in terms of allowing us, here are the different Bootstrap themes, and we've always gone with slate, which is a bit of a color and a bit of a design thing, and maybe, as it says, color and typography. So we've gone for consistency and similarity over these first few years. We're not going to click save because we haven't changed anything. Setup, we could have a logo there, but actually we've got a thumbnail, and I don't know if you can see, top left hand corner next to where it says website settings or whatever we've got up, that might be the fave icon actually. Let's scroll down, fave icon, not there. But we've got a journal thumbnail, and we've got a homepage image, and this image, and we've got a whole folder of our logos, different sizes, different brightnesses, different cuts in the Dropbox, Murmurations Dropbox, and I'll go over that with you at some point too. But so this is the current version that we've got up there, and if we just look at the home page for a minute, that is what that's about, and we haven't got a thumbnail anywhere else other than this, and that's called normally fave icon, fave dot something like that, faveicon.ico, I don't know what it is. Anyway, I don't know if that's what the journal thumbnail is or whether that's something else. I suspect it's something else. We don't have a page footer, but we do have a sidebar, and here are all the different sidebars, and at the moment you see these blocks. This is where you can change the order of things. So at the moment we have got it so make a submission is at the top, then we've got an information block, and I'm going to talk more about all the different custom blocks in a separate video. But some of them are checked and some of them are not checked. So we haven't got meet the authors checked, and it's therefore not showing. If I unchecked social media, it would mean the Twitter feed wouldn't show. If I unchecked video, it would mean our MTalks didn't show. If I unchecked call, if that's our call for papers, they wouldn't show, etc., etc. So it's a kind of interesting decision about how to lay out these, which should be first. Make a submission was much lower down for a long time, and I don't think that was very helpful. But anyway, so I've bumped it up a little bit, but there are other ones there. These are somewhere else, deletable and renameable, and you can add other new ones, but this is our sidebar. So that's some basic setup for the front page, and then we'll just look at advanced. Don't worry about that. That style sheet is somewhere else on the system, and a style sheet is what dictates the font, the size of different fonts, what color a link would be, what gaps between lines you'd have, what a heading would look like, what a subheading would look like, all that stuff. That's somewhere else. And that, I think, is part of Bootstrap, and it may be something that at some point has been edited. And here's the fave icon. You can see it's looking larger there than this is what it looks like when it's tiny up here in the top left-hand corner next to the addresses and any other content we might want on our page. Moving on to setup, you can see there's many more things on the left here. And this information here, these brief informations, are links from one of the boxes in the sidebar, where you'll recognize that it's called an information box, and it says for readers, for authors, for librarians, which is very important as well. And it has some of that key information there, and we probably should add in the locks and whatever it is, the other stuff, the OJSPN stuff, or PKPN. And so there are lots of links. It's a sort of belt and braces thing in case people don't always want to, for example, click on submissions. How did I find the referencing guide? Well, they can find it here. And should we say for authors or contributors? I don't know. So everything is findable one way or another. So that's the descriptions. And then we have languages. We're just an English language thing. There may be at some point, if it were changed, you could change things there. The navigation. This is much more complex, and we're going to go through that another time. But basically, the one thing that you need to know is that sometimes there are two things listed here. It sounds confusing, but I'll just give you an example. There are two editorial teams. It's not two of everything, but this one probably at the top is a navigation thing. When I click edit on it, it'll just show you this is the title and it's a link to the page. So there's nothing more. If we click on the second one, it'll show us some content. It's the path, and the path is ET. So this is the path. It's Murmurations, OJS, index, Murmurations /ET. That's the path for this. And then you have some information, and this is where you would change some things. So, you know, you might want to change something around here for yourself, and so on. You decide what you want to put there. I'm just going to close that. So there are sometimes you can change pages, change content. So the guidelines, is this a link or is this content? Ah, it's content. And the path for that is guidelines at the end. Here, guidelines. And it's got all this information. And yeah, and there's at least a weekly backup of the whole site. You can see a preview of this as well. Guidelines for contributors. Close that. Close that. So don't worry about this now. Just have a browse at some point. You can see that for every video there's a page. We'll just have a look at that. There's a page called, that's the path, Leah Vicky. And there is a page there with the journal, with the video set into it. Don't worry about that right now. I'm just showing you what's around. So that is on navigation. There's some information here. I haven't studied it. As I say, these things have changed sometimes with different versions of OJS. And it is important to keep OJS up to date because sometimes there are security things or things that fix bugs in the system. Announcements, oh, I'm checking announcements because something really frustrating happens. If you publish an issue and then you want to make changes, it goes out to everybody and it's premature. Better to not have that automatically set up. Items per page, is that on maybe the front page? Don't know. Anyway, it's limited to 25. There's a privacy statement there. Date and time, so date and time formats. What was the one we thought? Yeah, there was something wrong there. Let's change that so that it's the date of the month and the year. Hyphens, dashes, well, we'll leave it like that right now. I prefer always 24-hour clock. You might have a different opinion to that. That's fine. Save. So hopefully wherever we saw a strange date before, it might be in the emails to people where it says please submit by 10/12/22 and then you don't know what that's about. Plugins we're going to do a whole session on, don't worry about it, but what it means is that there are some things that other third parties have developed that add something into the website that makes some things possible, and the plugin gap, we'll talk about that. Then there's static pages, and there are static pages, but they get incorporated into the main design. I'm jumping back to setup. So some of these are static pages, such as the editorial board, I'm guessing, is a static page or something. But it started as a static page and now it isn't a static page. I think OJS is trying to get rid of static pages. Look, just remember, the website is how do we show that this is a journal that has a certain look, but certain key information, certain themes. So we're going to go for the design here, and we're going for the navigation so that everything is connected, that things work together, that there are plugins that allow us to, for example, have ORCID IDs integrated or something else. So this is the technical viewing or showcasing or putting together of the journal with its different sections of articles, poems, and editorials, and so on.